Left hook by Lamont Roach.
A WBA lightweight titleist will defend it against the super featherweight champion, who takes a rather dangerous bold leap up a division to take on the big punching Baltimore native in what promises to be a brutal bloodbath world title fight. Gervonta Davis doesn't just step into the ring, he takes over. He's a wrecking ball of power and aggression, earning the nickname Tank for a reason. Every punch he lands carries the weight of a knockout, and when he fights, he doesn't just go for victory, he makes a statement. He's known for ending fights in dramatic fashion, often with a single devastating shot. But then there's Lamont Roach, a fighter many underestimate at first glance. His calm demeanor and clean technique might fool some into thinking he's not a threat. But don't be mistaken, Roach has knockout power of his own, and he's not a stepping stone for anyone. He's stepping into this fight with something to prove. And by the way, these two aren't strangers to each other, having sparred frequently during their amateur in 2011, with Davis emerging 2-0. But the Davis of today is a different beast entirely. A professional with an unblemished record of 30 wins, 28 of them by knockout, he's evolved into one of boxing's most feared, most deadly punchers. Roach, on the other hand, steps into the ring with an impressive record of 25 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw, with 10 victories by knockout. The stats clearly favor Davis in terms of KO and power, boasting a staggering 93% knockout rate compared to Roach's 40%. Ranked number 1 by The Ring at lightweight, Davis has faced criticism for not always seeking out the biggest challenges, with fans and critics alike accusing him of cherry-picking his opponents. Many expected him to fight with Edwin De Los Santos, who made waves when he gave Shakur Stevenson a tough time, or even face Vasily Lomachenko in a unification bout. But he's made his choice and hopes he can silence the critics. With a whole lot on the line, can he come out on top? Guess you'll find out in the next few minutes. Davis is on a tear, having stopped 4 of his last 5 opponents. His latest victory against Frank Martin was a signature performance. Before Martin, Davis delivered a statement win against Ryan Garcia, a fight that had the boxing world buzzing. Davis sent Garcia to the canvas in the 7th round, solidifying his reputation as a finisher under pressure.
That left hook by what a shot! What a missile strike by Davis! And now, Garcia forced to take a knee! Mamma mia!
Even in fights where Davis didn't end things early, like his unanimous decision win over Isaac Cruz, he showed that he's more than just a knockout artist. He's a fighter who can adapt, manage distance, and control the pacing against a durable opponent. But the reality is, most opponents don't last long enough to test his stamina. Lamont Roach, meanwhile, has been on a quieter but equally respectable series. His recent TKO victory over Fergal McCrory was a solid acknowledgement of his power, even if it's not on Davis's level. Roach took his time, breaking down McCrory before ending it in the 8th round.
How much can McCrory take?
Called it. Corner has called it. It is over.
However, it was a split decision win over Hector Luis Garcia that truly showcased his grit. Roach walked into that fight as the underdog, but emerged victorious by outboxing and outthinking his opponent. While Davis overwhelmed Garcia with power, Roach outmaneuvered him with precision, showing that he knows how to handle high-pressure situations against top-tier talent. Where Roach excels in his ability to adapt mid-fight, often finding ways to outbox his opponents who may initially seem stronger or faster, his unanimous decision wins over Angel Rodriguez and Rene Alvarado further highlight his endurance and ability to control the tempo over longer fights. When it comes to activity, Davis has been consistently active, fighting every 7 to 8 months on average, keeping him sharp and ready. Roach, on the other hand, has had longer gaps between fights, averaging over a year between recent bouts. While this could mean fresher legs for Roach, it also raises concerns about ring rust and whether he'll be able to keep up with Davis's relentless pace. Davis's fights average just over 8 rounds, with many ending much sooner thanks to his knockout power. Roach, in contrast, tends to go the distance, averaging nearly 11 rounds per fight. From the records and stats, this fight screams power and explosiveness. You remember Davis for his devastating knockout ability, a master at closing the distance and unloading vicious punches. He's at his best when the fight turns into a brawl, where his explosiveness can overwhelm opponents before they can even think of a strategy. His ability to shift gears from a slow-stalking predator to a whirlwind of punches is the crown of his success. What makes Davis even more dangerous is he can adapt mid-fight. He can fight on the front foot, pressing the action, but he's equally capable of drawing opponents in and countering them with lethal precision. His left uppercut is one of the most feared punches in boxing, a weapon he can release in close quarters with devastating effect. That shot alone ended several of his fights in spectacular fashion. His footwork is sharp also, allowing him to cut off the ring and trap opponents where he wants them. Once Davis is in range, he shares combinations with terrifying speed and precision. His hands aren't just fast, they're educated. He knows exactly when and where to strike. Defensive game. Davis uses head movement well, slipping punches and countering with explosive bursts. He's patient too, often luring opponents into a false sense of security before demolishing them with a fight-ending shot. One of his greatest strengths is his ability to stay composed under pressure. He remains calm, calculating the best moment to strike. However, while his offense is nearly flawless, his defense, more specifically in the mid to late rounds, has shown vulnerabilities. He can be hit, especially when he's focused on offense and neglects to reset his guard. His high-energy style can also take a toll on his stamina. Though he's improved in his conditioning, there have been fights where he's visibly slowed in the later rounds. If an opponent can survive the initial onslaught, which Roach has proven he can from his records, and drag him into deep waters, the cracks in his armor might start to show. On the other side, Lamont Roach is the masterpiece of technical precision and defensive discipline. Roach is a counterpuncher by nature, someone who thrives on making his opponents miss and then punishing them for their mistakes. He's a master at dictating the pace of a fight, using his jab as a tool to disrupt his opponent's rhythm. Roach doesn't rush into exchanges. He waits, analyzes, and capitalizes on openings. His defensive skills are top-notch. He's difficult to hit cleanly, often using subtle head movement, footwork, and a tight guard to nullify his opponent's offense. While Davis might look to overwhelm with power, Roach looks to frustrate and outbox, turning his opponent's aggression into a liability. His jab is sharp and consistent, a tool he uses not just to score points, a few steps ahead, looking for openings to exploit. His defensive awareness is one of his greatest assets. He moves laterally, slipping punches and maintaining a tight guard that makes him difficult to hit. Roach's style is built on patience. He's not the kind of fighter who looks for a knockout from the opening bell. Instead, he wears down his opponents, forcing them into mistakes as the fight progresses. This patience is both a strength and a potential weakness. Against an aggressive, relentless fighter like Davis, waiting too long to engage could be dangerous. Roach doesn't have the same one-punch knockout power as Davis, which means he often relies on winning rounds rather than stopping fights. This can be a disadvantage if he finds himself behind on the scorecards. Another potential vulnerability is his tendency to fight at a controlled, almost conservative pace. While this works against less aggressive opponents, it could be a problem against someone like Davis, who won't hesitate to turn up the pressure and force Roach out of his comfort zone. Roach will need to balance his defensive prowess with moments of calculated aggression if he hopes to keep Davis at bay and seize control of the fight. So who's going to come out on top depends on who can impose their style. If Davis can turn the fight into a firefight, using his power and pressure to break Roach's rhythm, he could score a knockout or at least win on points by sheer activity. But if Roach can stay disciplined, frustrate Davis with his defense, and capitalize on his mistakes with well-timed counters, he could outbox Davis over the distance and pull off the upset, which we think is very unlikely. But that's the intrigue of this matchup, and it's what makes it one of the most compelling fights in recent memory. Anyways, who do you think takes the win? Drop your predictions in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth fight analysis. Thanks for watching,